Kia ora, I'm your facilitator for today's discussion. Let's start by introducing ourselves one by one. I'll go first. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko araki te maunga, ko otakaro te awa, ko ayushi aho, ka nui te mihi ki a koto. And my background is in astrophysics.
Tēnā koutou katoa, no tauranga aho, ko Callum Aubrey aho, no reina tēnā koutou katoa, and my background is in computer science.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Val te awa, no awhirika ki te tonga aho, ko Nadia aho, no reira tēnā koutou katoa, and my background is in chemistry.
Tēnā koutou katoa, no hirurana ao, ko Dinet Maderapalagi aho, no reira tēnā koutou katoa, and my background is in psychology.
Alright, brilliant. So the theme of today's discussion is trying to answer the question, in what circumstances should communities seek advice from scientists for new initiatives? Perhaps we can start by discussing some case studies from each of your fields to see some real-life examples of when communities have or have not sought advice from scientists.
A case study where computer scientists went terribly wrong is the Theriac 25 disaster. Essentially, this is a software-controlled radiation machine used to treat people with cancer. However, between the period of 1985 and 1987, the machine gave massive overdoses to its patients. Some patients received between 13,000 to 25,000 rads, where only 100 to 200 were needed. So, yeah.
A big issue that chemists are being consulted about today is to do with global warming, especially like carbon dioxide, and finding a way to turn it into something useful because it is a greenhouse gas and it's very hard to break down, and we're pumping a lot of it into the environment.
In 1973, Dr. Philip Zimbardo from the Stanford University carried out this experiment called the Stanford Prison Experiment, where participants were assigned to be a prisoner or a prison guard, and that's the experiment I'll be discussing about.
Alright, so what were the effects of not consulting a scientist in the field? So, in Zimbardo's Stanford prison study, the participants assigned as prisoners had really strong emotional responses. They were crying, screaming, and had anger bursts throughout the days, and they had to be sent back early. Also, they started adopting a submissive, cowering, dependent nature that was completely contrasting to their natural, normal behaviour, which shows the lasting impact the experiment has had on them.
For my one, the result was that many people were injured and some people died due to the overdose of radiation.
Yeah, for mine, I think it was just that chemists had a lack of knowledge about what carbon dioxide did to the environment. And I think if they'd been consulted earlier, we wouldn't have this bigger problem now.
Alright, so then how did this affect society and or the wider community?
Mine negatively affected computer scientists and medicine at first due to the distrust. However, when the machine was fixed, many people's cancer symptoms were cured, so that was a huge positive for the community.
In my study, even though the participants were really negatively affected, the American Psychological Society saw that negative impact that had on the participants, and they came up with the ethical guidelines, which has led to the improvement in developing ethical studies and experiments today. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the effects of greenhouse gases and global warming is something that our generation is going to have to deal with, and we're basically going to have to fix it.
Yeah. Okay. So then, how could a scientist have contributed had they been consulted in the first place?
In my study, that was proposed to run for 2 weeks, which was fortunately gladly put a stop to by Dr. Musler, and if she had been consulted before the study was proposed, because she was a psychologist, she could have helped them recognize the emotional impact of the experiment and recognize the unethical and immoral nature of the experiment. Yeah.
My disaster could have been prevented firstly if computer scientists had been consulted and the communication between the developers of the software and medical professionals was more clear. If a computer scientist was consulted, they would have tested the software more vigorously and been able to find bugs in the software and use software engineering techniques such as unit testing.
Okay.
And Nadia, I see that in your case, chemists are still actually being consulted in regards to global warming.
Yeah.
All right then. Okay, so going back to the original question of in which circumstances should communities seek advice from scientists, what do you guys think about that?
Well, I feel like a multidisciplinary approach is the way to go. Like, for example, with psychologists, they understand how people think.
Yeah.
Therefore, computer scientists should consult with them when they build software
Absolutely.
to make better software that's suited for the right people.
Yeah, and counteractively, we need your computer science knowledge to run the simulations and the software that we use to obtain the results. We get to understand the psychology behind all this. So
Yeah, we also need software computer people to make software for us to do equations and stuff to do with our work.
Yeah, and then that'll all be correct as well.
Yeah,
There won't be any problems if we've got both.
So
Can you relate to psychology?
I think with making new medicines and stuff like that, I think having psychology to help us with the ethics behind that and stuff
Of
like
course,
that.
yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah.
certainly. Okay, so do you guys think that answers the question?
Yes, if the wider community is being impacted in any way, I think scientists should definitely be consulted.
Yeah, and even on smaller scale projects, we should consider native history and culture as well.
Yeah. Oh, I agree, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
As individuals forming the community we belong to, and as a scientists that are going to make a difference in the world in whatever field of study we do, it is our responsibility to pay attention to the lasting impact we leave and recognise the effect of every initiative we post to the community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Sweet.
Yeah, I agree.
Well,
Very well.
I guess since we all agree, that's a wrap. Thank you so much,
Cool.
guys.
Cheers,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks.